Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to welcome you all today. Today's presentation is titled Future Trends in Technology, with a subtitle Innovating for Tomorrow. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore some key developments shaping our industry and how we can prepare for them. Let's get started. Today's slide, dated September 18, 2025, marks the beginning of our exploration into environmental psychology. This field is all about understanding the dynamic relationship between people and their physical surroundings. We'll look at how our environment influences our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and vice versa. It's a fascinating area because it helps us see how design, nature, and built spaces can impact well-being and productivity. As we go through this presentation, keep in mind that understanding these connections is crucial for creating healthier, more sustainable environments. This slide sets the stage for the entire journey we'll undertake together, highlighting the importance of environment in shaping human experience. Let's take a closer look at the definition and scope of this topic. Essentially, it involves understanding what it is and how broadly it applies across different areas. When we talk about its historical background, we're tracing how it has developed over time, recognizing key milestones and shifts that have shaped its current form. This context helps us appreciate why it's so relevant today. Moving on to importance and application, this is where we see how crucial it is in real-world scenarios. It influences practices, guides decisions, and offers solutions across various fields. All of these points tie back to the overall theme of understanding the foundation and impact of this subject, emphasizing why it's worth our attention and study. When I hear the word environment, the first thing that probably comes to mind is the natural world around us, our forests, oceans, air, and water. But it's also much more than that. It includes all the living and non-living things that interact in our surroundings. Think about how everything is interconnected, how the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the land that sustains us are all part of this environment. It's important to recognize that our environment isn't just a backdrop. It's a vital part of our daily lives and our health. When we talk about the environment, we're also talking about the challenges it faces: pollution, climate change, loss of biodiversity. These issues remind us that protecting our environment is crucial for our future. Connecting this to our overall theme, understanding what the environment is helps us see why sustainable practices are so essential. Because ultimately, our well-being depends on the health of the environment around us. Today, we're looking at the concept of surroundings, which refers to the environment where a person, animal, or plant lives or operates. Essentially, it's about the immediate space that influences and supports their daily life. When we think about surroundings, we're considering all the elements that are present around them, whether it's a forest for a bear, a classroom for a student, or a garden for a plant. These surroundings are crucial because they shape behaviors, provide resources, and create conditions for growth and survival. For example, a healthy environment can promote well-being, while a polluted one might hinder it. In the context of our overall theme, understanding surroundings helps us appreciate how living things adapt to their environments, and how we, as humans, can modify or preserve these spaces to ensure sustainability. So, in short, surroundings are the foundation of life and activity for all living things. Today, we're looking at what we mean by environment. Essentially, it's the total sum of all the living and non-living elements around us, along with their effects that influence human life. When we talk about the environment, we're referring to the physical, biological, and social things that exist on Earth and even outside of it. These elements are interconnected and play a crucial role in shaping our daily lives. Understanding this broad concept helps us appreciate the complexity of the world we live in and the importance of maintaining a healthy environment for our future. Today is September 18th, 2025, and this date is quite significant in our timeline. It marks a key milestone in our project, representing progress and the culmination of many efforts. As we look at this date, it's important to recognize how it fits within the bigger picture of our goals. This point highlights the importance of setting clear, achievable targets and tracking our progress over time. It also underscores the necessity of staying adaptable, because timelines can shift, but our ultimate objectives remain the same. Connecting this to the overall theme, it reminds us that continuous monitoring and flexibility are essential for success. Keeping this date in mind helps us stay focused on our long-term vision while managing short-term milestones effectively. Today, I want to focus on the key elements of environmental psychology. As we explore this field, it's important to understand what really shapes our interactions with our surroundings. First, perception plays a critical role. How we see and interpret our environment influences our behavior and feelings. Next, our attitudes towards specific spaces can affect how comfortable or motivated we feel in them. These perceptions and attitudes are shaped by various factors, including personal experiences and cultural background. Another key element is behavior, how people act within different environments and how those environments, in turn, influence their actions. For example, a well-designed space can promote positive social interactions or even enhance productivity. Then, there's the concept of environmental stressors, things like noise, crowding, or poor lighting, that can negatively impact our well-being. Conversely, restorative environments, such as parks or quiet natural settings, can help us recover mentally and emotionally. All these elements are interconnected, forming a complex web that influences our overall experience of any environment. Recognizing these components helps us understand how to design spaces that support human health and happiness, tying back to the overarching theme of how environment shapes behavior and well-being. Let's take a closer look at the key points here. The date, September 18th, 2025, marks an important milestone in our timeline. It represents a target date for the completion of this phase of our project. Setting clear deadlines like this helps us stay focused and aligned on our goals. This slide underscores the importance of timing and planning in achieving our overall objectives. By keeping these dates in mind, we can better coordinate our efforts, allocate resources effectively, and ensure we're moving forward steadily. Remember, these dates are not just arbitrary, they are integral to our strategy for success. Staying aware of them keeps the entire team motivated and accountable as we work toward our shared vision. Today is September 18th, 2025, and this date is significant because it marks a milestone in our project timeline. It's important to keep track of these key dates as they help us stay aligned with our overall goals. As we move forward, I want to emphasize how critical it is to understand the timeline and deadlines we've set. This helps us ensure that all tasks are completed on schedule and that we're progressing steadily. Remember, every date on this timeline represents a step towards achieving our larger vision, so staying mindful of these dates keeps us focused and accountable. Ultimately, these milestones are not just deadlines, they're opportunities to evaluate our progress and make necessary adjustments to stay on course. Today is September 18, 2025, and this date actually marks an important milestone in our journey. As we look at this slide, I want to emphasize how critical timing and deadlines are in our overall strategy. This date represents a key point in our project timeline, where we aim to have certain deliverables completed. It's not just a random date, it's a target that keeps us focused and aligned as a team. By setting clear milestones like this, we ensure that each phase of our project is progressing as planned, which ultimately helps us stay on track toward our larger goals. Remember, meeting these deadlines reinforces our commitment to efficiency and quality. So, as we connect this date to our overall presentation theme, keep in mind how strategic planning and timely execution are fundamental to our success. This date isn't just about the calendar, it's about advancing steadily toward our vision and making sure every step counts. Today is September 18, 2025. As we look at this date, I want to emphasize its significance in the context of our discussion. It marks a key milestone or deadline that we've been working towards. Throughout this presentation, we've explored various aspects of our project, and this date ties back to those overarching goals. It serves as a reminder of the progress we've made and the remaining steps to ensure success. Keep in mind, dates like this help us stay focused and aligned with our strategic objectives as we move forward. Now, let's take a look at the abiotic components. These are the non-living elements that play a crucial role in ecosystems. They include water, land, sunlight, rocks, and air. Even though they don't have life themselves, they create the environment where all living things can survive and thrive. For example, water is essential for most organisms, and sunlight provides energy for processes like photosynthesis. Land and rocks shape the landscape and influence where plants and animals can live. Air is vital for respiration and weather patterns. Understanding these abiotic factors helps us see how the environment supports life. Moving on, it's also important to recognize the biotic components. These are the living elements within an ecosystem. They include animals, plants, forests, fisheries, and birds. Every living thing interacts with others and with their environment, creating a complex web of relationships. These biotic components depend on the abiotic elements for survival, like how plants need sunlight and water, or how animals need habitats provided by the land and forests. Both abiotic and biotic components are interconnected, and together they form the foundation of any healthy ecosystem. Recognizing this balance helps us appreciate how ecosystems function and why preserving both elements is essential for sustainability. Let's take a closer look at the layers of the atmosphere. As you can see, the atmosphere is divided into several distinct layers, each with its own unique characteristics. Starting from the Earth's surface, we have the troposphere, which is where all our weather happens and where most of the air we breathe is located. Above that is the stratosphere, home to the ozone layer that protects us from harmful UV rays. Next is the mesosphere, where temperatures drop significantly and meteors often burn up. Above that is the thermosphere, which is incredibly thin but can reach very high temperatures. This layer also includes the ionosphere, vital for radio communication. Finally, the exosphere marks the boundary between our atmosphere and space, where particles gradually escape into space. Understanding these layers helps us grasp how our atmosphere functions to protect and support life on Earth, tying into the overall theme of Earth's interconnected systems. Let's take a closer look at some of the major environmental problems we face today. First, ozone depletion, which refers to the thinning of the ozone layer that protects us from harmful UV rays. This issue has serious implications for both human health and ecosystems. Next is acid deposition, commonly known as acid rain, which can damage forests, soil, and aquatic life. Global warming is another critical concern. It's leading to rising temperatures worldwide, melting glaciers, and extreme weather patterns. The destruction of forests, often due to deforestation and land clearing, not only reduces biodiversity, but also affects carbon storage. Overpopulation exacerbates many of these problems by increasing demand for resources and generating more waste. Air pollution remains a significant issue, impacting air quality and public health. Water and land pollution also pose threats to our ecosystems and our well-being, contaminating our water supplies and land for agriculture. Lastly, natural resource depletion highlights how we're using resources faster than they can replenish, which is unsustainable in the long run. All these problems are interconnected and underscore the urgent need for sustainable practices. Addressing them is essential for preserving our environment for future generations. Today is September 18th, 2025, and we're looking at some of the natural causes that contribute to environmental change. One major factor is electricity generation, which, even when sourced from natural resources, can impact the environment through emissions and resource use. Vehicles are another key point. Our transportation habits significantly influence pollution levels and carbon emissions. Agriculture, too, plays a big role, especially with practices that release greenhouse gases like methane. Industrial processes and overall consumption levels also contribute heavily. The more industries expand and our consumption increases, the greater the environmental impact. Understanding these causes helps us see how interconnected our activities are with environmental health, and it's crucial as we explore ways to mitigate these effects moving forward. Today, we'll explore how climate change impacts various environments and living beings. Starting with aquatic environments, these ecosystems are incredibly sensitive to temperature changes and pollution. When water temperatures rise or pollutants increase, it can harm both animals and plants that rely on these habitats, disrupting the entire aquatic food chain. Moving on to forests, they are vital carbon sinks, but they're also vulnerable to rising temperatures and changing rainfall patterns. This can lead to more frequent wildfires, pest outbreaks, and tree die-offs, which further accelerate climate change by releasing stored carbon. Soil health is another critical aspect. Changes in temperature and moisture affect soil fertility and microbial activity. Degraded soil can lead to poorer crop yields, impacting food security and ecosystems alike. Now, let's consider the effects on health. Climate change can increase the spread of vector-borne diseases, heat-related illnesses, and respiratory problems due to increased pollution and allergen levels. Overall, these effects are interconnected. Changes in one area can ripple through others, highlighting the importance of addressing climate change comprehensively to protect our environment and our health. Today, I want to highlight how psychologists can play a vital role in designing and evaluating environments. For example, they can help plan parks and green spaces that promote well-being and community interaction. By understanding how people use these spaces, psychologists can contribute to creating environments that are more inviting and beneficial for everyone. Next, psychologists are also crucial in developing and implementing behavioral interventions. Think about encouraging recycling or reducing energy consumption. Psychologists can design strategies that are not only effective, but also sustainable over the long term. They focus on understanding human behavior and motivation, which helps make these interventions more impactful. So, what should psychologists do in these contexts? They should apply their expertise to assess environmental needs, design thoughtful interventions, and evaluate their success. Ultimately, their work connects to our broader goal of fostering healthier, more sustainable communities. It's all about using psychological insights to shape better environments and behaviors. Today, I want to talk about advocating for environmental justice, which is all about promoting fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all communities in environmental decisions. This means supporting policies and practices that prevent disparities and ensure everyone's health and well-being are protected, no matter where they live or their socioeconomic background. Next, we'll look at conducting research, which involves understanding the interactions between people and their environments. This research is crucial because it helps us identify environmental issues and develop effective solutions. Finally, I want to highlight global warming, an urgent challenge that impacts communities worldwide. It's essential to connect these ideas. By advocating for justice and conducting thorough research, we can better address global warming and work toward a healthier planet for all. Today is September 18th, 2025, and I want to take a moment to reflect on the progress we've made so far. This slide is about emphasizing the importance of understanding the key points we've discussed. It's not just about the facts, but about how they connect to our overall goal. As we move forward, keep in mind that these concepts are the building blocks for our success. The key points we've covered are interconnected, and recognizing that helps us see the bigger picture. Remember, the ultimate aim is to apply these insights practically, making a real impact in our work. So, let's keep these ideas in mind as we continue our journey towards achieving our objectives. Let's take a moment to talk about Egon Brunswick, who lived from 1903 to 1955. He was actually one of the first psychologists to emphasize that psychology should pay close attention not just to the organism itself, but also to the physical environment. Brunswick believed that the environment can influence psychological processes in ways that are often subconscious. This means that the context around us, the cues we pick up from our surroundings, can shape our perceptions and behaviors without us even realizing it. His ideas are really important because they remind us that understanding human psychology requires considering both internal factors and external influences. This perspective connects to our overall theme of how complex and interconnected psychological processes really are. Kurt Lewin, who lived from 1890 to 1947, believed that research should be driven by real-world social problems. He introduced the concept of social action research, which is a non-reductionist, problem-focused approach. This means that rather than breaking things down into isolated parts, Lewin emphasized applying theories directly to practical issues. It's all about bridging the gap between theory and practice to create meaningful change. Like Brunswick, Lewin saw the environment as a crucial factor in shaping behavior. He argued that behavior is actually a function of both the person and their environment. In other words, who we are and the surroundings we're in both influence what we do. Furthermore, Lewin mainly focused on social and interpersonal influences rather than just physical factors. His emphasis was on how relationships and social contexts impact behavior, which ties into the overall theme of understanding human action in real social settings. Today is September 18th, 2025, and I want to take a moment to reflect on the progress we've made so far. As we've discussed throughout this presentation, understanding the timeline is crucial for grasping the larger picture. This date marks an important milestone in our project, representing both a point of achievement and a stepping stone for future developments. It's essential to recognize how each phase builds on the previous ones, creating a cohesive path forward. Remember, staying aligned with our timeline helps us manage expectations and ensures we're all working toward the same goals. So, as we look ahead, keep in mind how these key dates connect to our overall strategy and success. Today is September 18th, 2025, and I want to emphasize some key takeaways from this slide. First, let's focus on the importance of timing and deadlines. Meeting dates like this are crucial for staying on track and ensuring the project progresses smoothly. Second, I want to highlight how these dates connect to our overall goal of delivering value efficiently. Staying aligned with our schedule helps us maintain momentum and avoid delays. Finally, remember that each milestone, like this one, is a step forward in achieving our larger vision. Keeping these points in mind helps us stay focused and motivated as we move toward success. All right, let's take a closer look at this slide. As you can see, the date here is September 18th, 2025, and this marks a significant milestone in our timeline. What I want to emphasize is how this date represents not just a deadline, but a culmination of all the efforts we've discussed so far. It's when we aim to have our key objectives fully implemented. Throughout this presentation, we've talked about the importance of strategic planning, collaboration, and innovation, and this date is a reminder of how these elements come together to drive our success. Keep in mind that reaching this milestone will require continuous effort, adaptability, and a shared commitment from everyone involved. So, as we move forward, let's keep this date in mind as a target to stay motivated and aligned with our overall vision. Today is September 18th, 2025, and I want to take a moment to reflect on the key points we've discussed so far. Throughout this presentation, we've emphasized the importance of adaptability, innovation, and strategic planning. These elements are crucial for staying ahead in a rapidly changing environment. I encourage you to think about how these concepts connect to your own work and how implementing them can lead to better outcomes. Remember, the overall theme is about continuous growth and resilience, and these principles are the foundation for achieving long-term success. So, as we move forward, keep these ideas in mind and consider how they can be integrated into your daily practices. When we talk about how people treat their environments, we're also considering the decisions they might make in the future. These choices can influence everything from city planning to sustainability efforts and the creation of green spaces. On an individual level, it affects architecture and landscape design as well. Environmental psychology helps us understand how humans plan, use, and interact within their surroundings. It's fascinating because the environment significantly impacts our well-being, especially when we think about the challenges posed by climate change. Understanding this connection is why environmental psychology is so important. It guides us in creating spaces that support health, sustainability, and resilience for everyone. Environmental psychologists focus on understanding how our surroundings influence us. They look at how environmental stress can impact our performance, whether it's in the workplace, at school, or in other settings. They also explore what makes an environment restorative, helping people recover mentally and emotionally. An important part of their work is studying how individuals process information differently depending on the environment they're in. It's fascinating to see how each person's feelings, thoughts, and behaviors are shaped by the environment around them. Because of this, environmental psychologists contribute ideas and recommendations across a wide range of areas, whether it's government policies, private industry practices, hospitals, schools, or retail spaces. To do their job, they often conduct studies, analyze data, and gather insights through interviews and direct observations. They also review organizations' plans for the future, making sure that environments support well-being and productivity. So, when we think about what an environmental psychologist does, it's really about understanding the complex relationship between people and their environments, and applying that knowledge to improve various spaces we all interact with daily.